Hip-hop, the largest genre of music right now. It's been going strong for quite a while, since the early 80s, early 90s. You know, we had acts like Wu-Tang, which dominated for years, Biggie Smalls. Even in the West Coast, we had Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and everything doing their thing. They're about to do their thing this week right here with the Super Bowl. But hip-hop, created in New York City, Bronx to be precise, created up in uptown Bronx, late 70s, early 80s. And today's video is the top 25 MCs to ever come out of New York City. I'm going to read a list of 25 MCs I believe the best MCs in New York City. Now, we're not talking about LA, we're not talking about anywhere else, we're not talking about down south, we're talking about just New York City, the home, the mecca of hip hop. 25 of the greatest rappers to ever walk the face of the earth, in my opinion. 25 of the greatest rappers in New York City, period. Here's my list. What's going on, everybody? It's your host of the Morning Beer Podcast, Devereaux Davis, and today's video is a video I've been looking to make for quite some time. Top 25 MCs from New York City, and I'm gonna write my list. I'm gonna tell you my list from 25 down to 1. Okay. We got the co-hosts here, the dogs. So if you hear them barking, don't be alarmed. We're not barking for you or barking at you. They're just being themselves. All right. So we're gonna go straight to this. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to talk about all 25 in depth, in detail, for the sake of the length of this video, to keep it at a minimum pace. I'm trying to maybe 15, 20 minutes tops, but even that, in my opinion, might be a little bit too much. But I could talk for days about all 25 of these rappers. First thing we're going to do, we're going to talk about the honorable mentions. We're going to get it right out the way. The 5 that did not make my list. I had 30 altogether. I actually had 31, 30, in that range of rappers that I could potentially put on this list. I'm only putting 25. These are the 5. Tell me if I'm bugging or not. This video right here, I understand, I get it. Excuse me. I'm going to get critiqued out my mind from this video. People are going to be emailing comments. Oh, you're bugging. You forgot this person. You forgot this one. If I forgot somebody, I'm only one person and shit happens, you know. YouTube is YouTube. You know, it is what it is, you know. But for the most part, my research for my memory of these rappers, my seeing these rappers and knowing their background for years. I'm 40. I'm only 42 this year, so I've been listening to hip hop from the early 90s on, some of the late 80s, but mostly I've been in this like early 90s. And so, in my opinion, these are the rappers I think that epitomize New York City, the top 25 rappers that screamed New York City. These are the top 25 New York City had to bring to the game, and they might be some of the top 25 best in the world. Okay, you tell me yes or no. So we're gonna start it off, but I'm gonna do my honorable mentions first. 5 people that didn't make my list. Tell me if I'm bugging. And this one was rough. Straight out of Staten Island, the GZA. The GZA has been in the game for a while, and he didn't make my list. He's been in the game since the 80s, had a deal since the late 80s with his with RZA and all these other Wu-Tang guys. He didn't make my list. Cannabis out of Queens didn't make my list. Oh, also, I'm going to tell you where they're from as far as New York City. So Westchester, Long Island is also included in this. So we're not just doing the 5 boroughs. We're also going to have Westchester and Long Island included in this mix. So Cannabis out of Queens. All right, so I'm going to give you the borough also. GZA out of Staten Island, Cannabis out of Queens. These are people that didn't make my list. Keith Murray, that one is rough. He didn't make my list. And when I first made the list, Cannabis was on my list. I had to take him off to bump some people on that I forgot about. Papoose didn't make my list, out of Brooklyn. And a lot of you YO fans are going to hate me for this one, but Styles P didn't make my list. So there's that. Now I'm going to break it down in what boroughs had what quantity, okay? So we're going to start off with YO, which is Westchester. We're going to start with YO, so that's going to count for Westchester, Mount Vernon, all this other stuff. On my top 25 list, I have 2 rappers out of YO. You probably already know who they are. I'll let you guess for yourself. Bronx had 3 rappers on my list. Harlem had 2 rappers on my list. Queens came in, and not because I'm from Queens. I was born in Brooklyn, but lived the majority of my life in Queens. So I'm both Brooklyn and Queens. But I'm not being biased, but it is what it is. Queens has 7, a strong 7, and guess what? Brooklyn also has 7. So out of my top 25 list, Brooklyn and Queens had 14 rappers on it. All right, Staten Island had 3, and you already know who those guys are. And Long Island had 1, but Long Island had a great one. So we're gonna go into that. All right, a little bit more. So now we're gonna start with number 25. So we starting the list off at number 25. We have AZ out of Queens. All right, AZ is a very underrated rapper. A lot of great hits. He was on the Firm with Nas and stuff. And a lot of people like to say the Firm flop, and you know I was a big Firm fan, and it did kind of not do as great as they thought it would. But can't knock AZ for that. He knocked a lot of things out the box. A lot of great songs. Sugar Hill. AZ lyrically, one of the great ones in the game. He's number 25. Coming in at number 24 is Lil Kim, the only female to make my list. The queen herself should make this list. She's coming out of Brooklyn, and she's the greatest female rapper from New York, in my opinion. All hail the queen. We already know she belongs on this list. She's one of the top 25 MCs out of New York City ever. If you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, leave a comment below. Let me know what's going on. All right, at number 23, there's Wu representing right here, coming out of Brooklyn. The late, great, old dirty bastard at number 23. One of the most unique rappers that ever graced us ever, and he's very underrated. And I actually wanted to put him a little bit higher on this list as far as what he contributed to the game, his charisma, lyrically a little weird, but I like this dude. Like his first album a lot. I liked his energy, and it is what it is. At my favorite number 22, is Mos Def, a very good rapper, a very good rapper out of Brooklyn. I felt he was pulled in so many different directions, wanted to do more things than rap. So he never really focused on the rap game as much as he could have, and he could have been a lot higher in this list. He could have been maybe a top 15, top 10 rapper of all time in New York City if he had focused more to rap, but he was getting into the acting, he was getting more into this, he was getting more spiritually and everything like that. And by all means, if that's what your spirit calls for and what lane you want to walk in or drive in, by all means follow that lane and take that journey. And he did that, and he's at number 22 on my list. At number 21, we have Mr. Cameron, Mr. Harlem himself, Mr. Pink wearing Cameron, number 21. Did his thing for quite some time. Didn't show off well in that versus D Block, but Cam's on this. Could be one of the most influential guys in the game, wearing pink in Harlem, but he's one of the 2 people I have out of Harlem. And we're gonna hold on right here, right now. I'm gonna take a sip. Right now we're drinking some Coke and rum as usual. No beer today, but we're doing Coke and rum since we're doing day drinking. We're keeping it light. Went with Malibu. I know, it's a little prissy, but I went with Malibu today. Malibu and Pepsi, actually. So it's not even Coke and rum, it's Pepsi and rum today. So at number 20, this guy's coming out of Queens. This guy had a lot of big hits in the early 2000s. The franchise player for Murder Inc., Ja Rule, always underrated. And believe it or not, when I first made this top 25 list, which I revised maybe 3 times, right? This is the final revision right here, the 3rd one. I forgot Ja Rule. This just shows you how much 50 Cent crushed this guy's career, because he was on the verge of being a top 10 New York City rapper, but he's only coming in at number 20. But this guy had multiple hits. He pretty much carried us for a few summers in the 2000s, early 2000s or whatever, with Murder Inc. And he's coming out of Queens. We got Ja Rule at number 20. So now we're cracking the top 2. That's the first quarter of my list. The first 5 up there. We're gonna recap that. 25 AZ at 24, Lil Kim, 23 Old Dirty Bastard, 22 Mos Def, 21 Cameron, and 20 Ja Rule. So now we're getting into the top guys now. So at number 19, coming straight out of the Bronx captain himself, Mr. Fat Joe himself, salute. This guy's been in the game for a long time, since the early 90s, digging in the crates and everything like that with Big L and all these other guys. And I think he's also a very underrated rapper. A lot of these guys I feel like could go higher in the list, but it just shows you the talent that New York City brought to the game. And for Fat Joe to be at number 19, if he was like somewhere in LA, if he was somewhere like in Oakland, if he was somewhere in Detroit or whatever, he'll be a top 5 legend of all time. But it just shows you the talent, and that says a lot. And he would tell you himself, New York is talented, and for him to be on this list, he's number 19, and I feel he could be a lot higher. But he's coming out the Bronx, Fat Joe, and he's Terror Squad alum, and he is definitely that dude. So at number 18 we have Brooklyn's own Mr. Fabulous himself. Now this is somebody that I felt if things had went a certain direction, a certain way, he could have been a top 5 guy. I know I'm saying this for a lot of people, but this honestly could have been one of the GOATs right here. Lyrically, his delivery, his smooth, his lyrics his lyrics about flossing and being fly, whatever like that. You couldn't top that in the game. Only people that match that, is, my opinion, is AZ and so a few other cats. But Fab had that lane. And Fab could have been one of the better lyricists, better GOATs out of Brooklyn, and he's at number 18 on my list. So now we're going into number 17, and we're gonna start with one of these Staten Island cats right here. We're talking about Mr. Chef himself, Raekwon, coming out of Wu-Tang, coming out of Staten Island, and I think Raekwon is one of the dopest rappers on many dope rappers on Wu-Tang, and is he the dopest one? He's definitely in the top 3 or 4 dopest rappers on in Wu-Tang, in Wu-Tang's history. And when he went solo, same time Ghost went solo, I feel Ray held his own with that LP that he threw out there. So big ups to Raekwon. He's coming at number 17, and at number 16, if you have Raekwon at 17, these guys go hand in hand. You have to have Ghost at 16. There's no way you can separate these two. These two are joined at the hips. One style complements the other person's style, and I have to put at number 16 Ghostface Killer out of Staten Island. I have him a smidget over Raekwon. That's why I have Raekwon at 17 and Ghost at 16. I have him a smidget, and this guy's delivery, this guy's video persona, this is funny guy, funny dude. I like Ghost a lot. Same thing with him, same thing you can say about Raekwon. All you have to do is review what I said about Raekwon. It's the same thing you gotta say about Ghost, that he was one of the dopest rappers on Wu-Tang, but when he decided to go solo, he brought that energy. So I like Ghost at number 16. So now we're coming into the top 15. I'm gonna have to take a swig right now. Number 15. Now, top 15. So this is where it gets heavy. This is the heavy hitters. These are cleanup hitters. These are the guys that always bat. If you're gonna have multiple people on the track, they're probably gonna finish the track. All right. These are the finishers right here. All right. So coming at number 15, straight out Queens, Queensbridge to be precise, because I'm on the other side of Queens. I'm in Jamaica. My man himself, the late great Prodigy from Mobb Deep. All right. So the catalog says it speaks for itself. As a group, when Prodigy was with Havoc, Prodigy was the lyricist of that group. The group was very successful as a group by itself. But when he decided to go make HNIC, that was one of the most slept on albums. And it should be a top 50 New York City album. And that's probably another video I'm going to do. Top 25 New York City albums. Prodigy's HNIC. I forgot what year it came out. It's early 2000s. I want to say maybe 01, 02. If it wasn't for Jay-Z coming out that year, I think that was with the one with the Blueprint. If it didn't come out that year, I think by far Prodigy would have had the album of the year, and that says a lot. that says a lot because we had Ja Rule pumping, we had DMX in his prime, we had a lot of, and 50 wasn't there yet. 50 was knocking on the door, but he wasn't inside the house yet. But Prodigy's HNIC is one of the most slept on, one of the best solo albums I've seen from a guy that was in a group that decided to take time to make a single album, and I think he killed it with that one. All right, so we're at the halfway. We're 10 guys in. We're coming in at number 14 now. Another late great legend coming out of the Bronx, and for the Bronx, this is their second person. They already had Fat Joe. So if we have Fat Joe, we gotta have Big Pun. So Big Pun's coming in at number 14, and this guy could have been, once again, I know I sound like a broken record. I know I sound like a whipped horse, but I don't even know what a whipped horse sound like. But anyway, Big Pun would have been one of the top 5 guys in New York if he was still alive and had more longevity with his career. But his career was cut short in 2000 when he passed away. Unfortunately, he was ill and sick from obesity and stuff like that, and other underlying problems that he had going on with that. But that's not here. We're here to talk about his catalog and why he's one of the greatest MCs out of New York City. He's at number 14, and if you agree with me, if he should be a little bit higher, you know what? I believe so too. But at number 14 is Big Pun. He's coming in from the Bronx. He have a lot of great hits. Have a lot of great songs he did with Fat Joe, Terror Squad. Things he did in his own, a lot of collabos where he did with Cameron, where he did with a lot of dudes from Harlem, with Mace and all that stuff, and DMX, and it's just a shame that we couldn't hear more from him before he passed, but we heard a lot from him while he was alive, and the great thing about that, it made us know that he's one of the top ones in the game, and there's that. So coming at number 13 is a guy that's a little bit ahead of my time. Didn't really hear much of him, but a lot of people tell me I'm bugging for only having him at 13. I should have him a lot higher. This guy is a Queens legend. One of the goats of the game. He had a big influence in Nas's career, Nas's life. Actually, him and Nas made a song. If y'all remember that song from the late '90s or whatever, it was on one of Nas's album. Kool G Rap is at number 13. Now, I don't know much about this guy. I'm not saying I don't know much about this guy. I don't know much about him in his prime because I probably wasn't listening to him in his prime. And actually, Jay-Z kind of mentioned him in one of his songs about Kool G Rap in his prime. So that says a lot. And he's one of the GOATs coming out of Queens. I have him number 13, Kool G Rap, just because he's Kool G Rap. At number 12, this goes back to me revising this because I actually had this guy at number 9. Yep, I had him at number 9, but now I had to drop him down to 12 to bump some people up, and you'll know why as I get deeper into this list. But at number 12, who was formerly number 9, is Method Man. One of my personal favorite rappers of all time. From Staten Island. This shows you a lot about this dude, right? I'm gonna tell you one thing I found funny. He was a feature on Biggie's first album, right? And this is when Biggie and Pac was beefing. But Tupac respected him so much that he asked him if he could use Bring the Pain for his album and use that on his album. Even though he's beefing with East Coast rappers and he's beefing with a guy that Method did a song with. Tupac, when he's dissing all New York rappers, never dissed Method, never dissed Wu-Tang. And that just shows you a lot of respect that he gets from all around the country and all around the game. In hip-hop game all over the world. So I got Method coming in because this guy had bangers. He had bangers with Mary J. Blige. He had bangers with Wu-Tang. He had bangers with Redman and everything, especially when he collabed with Redman and everything like that. The How High was one of my anthems, man. Method, I have a lot of respect for him. I believe he's a top 10 rapper. He's at number 12. I think he's out of Staten Island. He's the greatest out of Staten Island to do it. And he's still to this day could probably bust some of these MCs' ass out there. All right, coming in at number 11, and we're getting close to that top 10 list. Coming in at number 11, YO's General himself, Mr. I'm not gonna fuck with you on the verses ever again because you're gonna just kill me or kill anybody else that decides to challenge you on the verses. Jadakiss right here, the voice, the delivery, the confidence in his rap, far succeeds many other rappers in this game. Anywhere you wanna this anywhere in the country, this guy's delivery, voice, lyrical content, his confidence is phenomenal. He might not have the great commercial hits that some other rappers lower than him have and higher than him have, but there's nobody that has a better delivery, a better flow, a better consistency through his words, a better voice than Jadakiss, and that alone puts him number 11. It could have got him in the top 10. I was thinking about putting him in the top 10, but then, the top 10 is rough to crack. All right? The reason why top 10 is rough to crack because they're coming at number 10. This guy just dropped the album in 2021. No, sorry, 2020. October 2020. And that just shows me, and it's not even like it was a flaky album. I heard the whole album. It was a very dope album, and I'm not being biased about this person because he's my all-time favorite rapper, and I actually worked in the street team back in 99, 2000. I'm not saying that because he's been in the game since 1991, and still dropping albums that official. The Czar himself, Busta Rhymes, coming out of Brooklyn. He's pretty much one of the game's GOAT. So now we're talking about GOATs now. Now we're going into GOAT status because 10 to 1 is all GOATs. It's all GOATs in here, man. The 11, yeah, Method is a GOAT, pardon Kool G Rap. But these are GOATs, man. These are like certified, like these guys have horns on them. They're GOATs, right? Busta's out of Brooklyn. Busta, put your hands in my eyes to see, woo-ha. I mean, I can name the hits, Get Out, Give Me Some More, Arab Money, all types of stuff. Now we're gonna be talking about catalogs and stuff that you can't even touch, man. And Busta, video-wise, nobody did it better. And if you agree or disagree, maybe the only people touching him is Missy and Ludacris, and they're still Busta did the best videos. Craziness wise, you gotta give it to Busta. Rah loud, you gotta give it to Busta. You gotta give all that to Busta. He's not just in there; he's top in all these categories. So Busta is my number 10. And this guy deserves it. He's been a GOAT in the game, and sometimes these guys don't get the flowers they need. And you have to give these guys flowers. And before I even continue, right, on my list, right, I have, since we're talking about flowers now, right, I have 6 guys on my list, right, 6 guys out of these top 25s that's no longer with us. I already named 3. 3 more of them is in my top 10. I already named 3. Old Dirty Bastard, Big Pun, and Prodigy. We must give these guys their flowers before they leave us. It's sad that 6 out of 25 is already gone, right? And they didn't receive their flowers from us yet. That's a sad thing. But we must, and our co-host is already making an appearance right there. She wants to bark. But we must give these guys their flowers before they bounce, all right? Because you never know. Coming at number 9 is a Queen's salute. 50 Cent. This guy had the most meteoric, am I saying the words correct? Meteoric, you know what I mean. He's like a meteor. He had a great rise. He rises faster than anybody else I've seen ever in this game. When 50 Cent came, he was a tsunami. He ran over Ja Rule like a Mack truck, flattened him out. He ran over anybody. His beefs, his battle raps, That's when he excels, when he's. I love How to Rob. That was one of my favorite songs when he included everybody in it. It's amazing. This guy's Get Rich or Die Trying is a legendary album. He definitely got rich before he died, while he was trying. So this guy succeeded at what he claimed to do. And I like 50. I think he's one of the greatest in the game. I did not have him in my top 10 because I had Method. But then I thought about it, I'm like, listen, man, this guy's rise is like, it's unmatched in this game. It's unmatched. His rise, what he is now to the game, no longer a real rapper, but now he's the executive where he's making business moves with TV shows like Power and stuff like that. This guy's making Hollywood money. Excuse me. Amazing, phenomenal rise. Could be one of the kings of gangster rap in New York. Probably the king of gangster rap in New York. Definitely. I want to solidify that. That's solidified in stone. The king of gangster rap in New York is 50 Cent. The king of definitely one of the greatest rises I've ever seen. I loved watching it. It was great. All right, coming at number 8 out the Bronx. This is the third guy from the Bronx, the last guy out of the Bronx. The home of hip hop, the birthplace of hip hop. KRS-One, one of the fathers of hip hop. Now, personally, not a huge fan of him. But I have to give, and it's not necessarily for hip hop reasons. It's for other reasons, and we're gonna leave that stuff alone. If you know, you know, African Bambaataa. But if you know, you know. All right. So KRS-One, from the Bronx, the bridge is over. A lot of hit records with Scott LaRock, and if you know, you know, Scott LaRock assassinated. Not a huge fan of KRS, but he is a GOAT of the game. Number 8, and could be a lot higher. Lyrically, one of the best. I used to like him in the mid-early 90s. He came on strong. He had a few albums that I used to bang. But yeah, there's that. I don't really have much. He is a GOAT. He is one of the fathers of hip hop from the Bronx and everything. And KRS never gets his due no more. He's not really into the new hip hop, and I get it because it's an acquired taste. I'm not really a fan of mumble rap and all of this stuff either. So, but New York hip hop wise, this guy's a GOAT. He's a legend. KRS-One coming out the Bronx. Number seven, and number 7 is close to home. I actually work out a lot in the park that he hosts the basketball games in Murdoch in Queens. Went to school with one of his family members in junior high school. Mr. Queens itself, LL Cool J, at least my half of Queens, Jamaica, Farmers, Murdoch section. LL Cool J, and he's one of the GOATs ever, man. One of the greatest ever to ever do it, to ever grace the stage. His catalog is longer. Made a 14 album record deal with Def Jam, unheard of, never will be done again, never done before. This guy's been doing it longer than most people on this list. Older than most people listening. His rap career is older than most people listening to him. I probably was 3-4 years old when he came out. I was born in 80. I think he came out in 83, 84, and this guy is bona fide legend. Could be number 1. It was hard for me to have him all the way down at number 7, but that just shows you how great this list is. It just shows you how much talent New York has and how great New York is. And we're going to go into the top 6. Coming in at number 6 from YO itself. He just passed, man. One of my favorite rappers. He's in my top 3 all time. DMX. Ran into him one time in Harlem when he wasn't doing too well. He was walking down the street, we crossed like this. He looked at me, I looked at him, we gave each other a head nod. I kept it moving, he kept it moving, but he's walking with his peoples and stuff like that. And for some reason, we just connected like that. Like he said, "What's up?" And that was it. It was just weird. It was just like I never forgot that. A lot of people say, I don't know, I'm a taller version of him, the way my bald head or whatever. So I don't know, who knows or whatever. But out of YO, DMX, only guy to drop 2 #1 albums in 1 year. I think his first 5 albums were top one, #1 or whatever to come out. It's just weird records. This guy has so many records that any pop star would die to have, that never had. Like Michael Jackson never had, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake. My dog's playing the squeaking toy over there, whatever. Never had that record either. All these records that some of these great legends never had, but this legend himself had a DMX, and he doesn't get his flowers. He needed it before he passed, and this is where we always fail at. We never give our flowers out to the guys that need it before they pass. DMX is number 6 on my list, and like I said, I'm a broken record. He could have been in top 5 easily, but it just shows you how great this list is. And we're gonna head on to number 5. Rest in peace, DMX. Love you. Sorry you're gone too soon. All right, number 5. And some of y'all might have number 5 as your number 1. I get it. Anybody in this number 5, in the top 5 is interchangeable. You could have as your number 1. I could say even up to number 7, 8. You could have up to number 8. You could change that all around. And any one of these guys from 8 on could be number 1. KRS, LL, DMX, the ones I named already. But at number 5 on my list, Devereaux Davis's list, is Jay-Z, coming out of Brooklyn. And he's doing what he's doing. He is what he is. I'm not like a huge Jay-Z fan. Like, he has that cult going on where all these guys are huge fans of it. I don't knock you. That's what you like. That's what you like. That's I feel he is what he is. And I'll leave it at that. But not a huge fan of him. But that's not gonna not make me give credit where credit's due. He's in the top 5 all time in New York. I think his catalog speaks for itself. He has a lot of great bangers. Reasonable Doubt, Blueprint. A lot of it, even some of his latest stuff is pretty dope. It sounds repetitive now at this point. All sounds, you hear one, you heard them all kind of album. In my opinion, that's my opinion as far as his flavor. And you can say about a lot of a lot of guys on this list. Some guys are able to change, and some guys can't. But I'm not saying he's not able to change. I'm just saying he's in his lane and he's dominating his lane, and you gotta respect that and give it the credit where credit's due. And he's number 5 on my list out of Brooklyn, and he's representing Brooklyn. Number 4 is just like Ghost and Ray. Ghost and Ray. If you have Ghost, you have Ray. If you have Ray, you have Ghost. If you have Jay-Z, you have Biggie at number 4. He's coming at number 4 out of Brooklyn. Rest in peace, Biggie. He's one of the guys on this list that already passed away. And we have one more guy on this list that passed away, unfortunately. But Biggie and DMX are the last 2. Like I said, we have 6 on this list. But Biggie is a phenomenon. He has 2 albums, only 2 credited albums before he passed. The ones after he passed, it's more compilation stuff and more stuff that's put together. But the hits that he made while he was alive, every song in each album that he made, he doesn't have a whack song. It's like you can't say Biggie made a whack song. I can't say that's even a possibility. And the sad thing is that he's not alive to have much more, because he would have been number 1 on this list. He is definitely the Don of New York, the King of New York. In my opinion, he's not the best MC in my opinion from New York, but he is the king of New York rap. So let's get that straight. He is the king of New York rap. Like Michael Jackson is the king of pop. He might not be the best singer. He might not be the best dancer, but he's the king of pop. Same thing with Biggie. King of New York when it comes to rapping. Nobody else, nobody dead or alive will top that. But we have 3 more rappers I want to put on this list. And if you haven't heard his name called already, you already know who number 3 is. If you haven't heard Nas's name out of Queens, and I think he's the top guy out of Queens. If you haven't heard his name called, it's because he's in my top 3, and he's number 3, Nas. My lyrically, if I want to hear some lyrical content from New York, I'm going to Nas. I'm going to go and listen to him spit Illmatic. If I want to hear him rip a new asshole and somebody try to talk shit about him, I'm going to go listen to Stillmatic. If I feel angry and I feel like I have beef with somebody and I want to go and just like get charged up, I'm going to go put on Stillmatic. Okay? Nas is a GOAT, man. And still doing it to this day. Still making, I mean, his flow, his style, it stayed the same recently. So I go back to a lot of his earlier stuff. I know The Firm was like a little blotch on his record, but the guy's catalog is just unmatched. Maybe Jay-Z, a few other guys could touch that. So that's what I gotta say about Nas at number 3. Had to wet the palate a little bit before we get into the top 2. Top 2. And if y'all are guessing, if y'all already know what my top 2 is going to be, you probably know one already. But this is a forgotten soul because he's no longer with us. This is one of the 6 people that already passed away that's on my list. The forgotten soul in the sense that he never got to be out there. But if he got to be out there, it's this whole rap game would have been a little bit different. A lot of the people that got shine wouldn't have got shine right now. A lot of people, this guy, my number 3 guy on this list said the only guy he was scared in the booth to go into a booth with and then make a song. The only guy that feared him, he know he had to strap his laces and bring his A game whenever he's gonna make a song. If he's gonna make a song with him or be on the song with him or whatever, he had to bring his A game. Nas said the only guy that made him feel this way or felt nervous was Big L. Not Biggie, not Jay-Z, not nobody else. It was Big L. Made him feel nervous. And that's why he's number 2 on my list. So this guy's catalog is not as long, not extensive as some of the other GOATs that passed, that's already named on my list. But he's number 2 because he's not number 2 because of potential. He's number 2 because, like Jadakiss, his delivery, his flow, his confidence, his lyrical arsenal is almost unmatched. The only person I can see lyrically match him ever in this game, I'm not talking about New York City, in this game, is Eminem. But this guy right here, Big L, out of Harlem, would have been the GOAT. Not in New York City. In the game. The whole game would have been changed if this guy got a chance to live his career and live his longevity. But because in 1999, he got shot and killed. And got shot about 9 times over some things that's not cleared or clarified to this day. But if this guy had got a chance to live his life in the hip-hop game, it would have been a much different game. All right? So big ups to Big L when he was digging crates with Fat Joe and all the other guys and digging crates and stuff like that and killing it back then. This guy would have been a legend in the rap game, period. So we coming in at number 1. We're finally at number 1. Well, stay with me to number 1. And if you didn't figure it out by now, you must be living in a rock. The only guy on my list, I haven't called L.I. out yet. Long Island, I live in Jamaica, Queens. I live on the border of Queens, Long Island. I could walk from when I used to live in Queens, I could walk from my house 10 minutes and walk into Long Island. But this guy's from Wyandanch, so he's further out in Long Island, right? The only guy on my list from Long Island the number one MC in New York City's history. And I just heard him. His birthday was the other day. He just turned 54. I just heard him do a freestyle over some beats or whatever. 4 different beats. I heard he did a Biggie beat. And this guy was just like, yo, just like off the top of the head. And I mean, you know, it might not be like, it might have been a written freestyle that he had from a few years back, but he just flowed so great, man. And the words, and if he literally paints a picture for you. He literally just paints a picture. He's like, here's my canvas. I'm gonna blah blah blah. You wanna figure it all out. You wanna see it when I spit it. You wanna see it. You wanna imagine it. That's literally what it is when you listen to Rakim. You're sitting there, you're imagining everything he's saying, you're seeing it when he says it, and this guy is phenomenal and one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time, one of the greatest of all times in the game. His name don't get spoken out as much as it should be. He is a legend of hip-hop all over the world, not just in New York. He needs his flowers. He's 54. Let's give this guy his flowers before he's no longer with us like all these guys deserve. I named 25 people in my top 25 list, but I named 30 people, and all these guys need their flowers before they bounce. Okay? Rakim is the greatest of all time from New York. Back in the 80s, mid to late 80s, killing it. When him and LL Cool J was running the game in New York, especially. Rakim, greatest New York City MC ever. All right. If you all agree or disagree with me, please leave a comment below and let me know what you feel. That's my top 25 MCs from New York City. That's my list. If y'all have a different list, please leave it down in the comments. Yeah, at least leave your top 10 or top 5 or top 3. And if you want me to rearrange, you know, the order or whatever, I definitely would put that in consideration. Let me know if it's something I need to move around, or if I'm incorrect about something, or if I forgot somebody. Okay? I'll leave down in the description the list in order, and then you tell me what you feel or what you think. Okay? I'm your host of the Morning Beer Podcast, Deborah Davis. Thank you for spending at least a half an hour with me. I tried to make this a little bit less than it was, but it is what it is. It's these guys all deserve their respect and all deserve their time, and that's all the time I had to give to you, okay? You take care. Peace.